Cheers and welcome. I'm Halcyon, and this is a Happy Hour Hug Nation. Grab a beverage, relax, have a seat. It's kind of a follow-up to this afternoon's Hug Nation. I talked about gay pride. And in the process of talking about gay pride, I mentioned that when I was younger, I sometimes used derogatory words like, "That's so gay." And I had to learn that it was offensive. And initially I was resistant, because when I said gay, what I really meant was lame. That's what I said this afternoon. And I was instructed that lame is offensive as well. There is a disability or disabled pride movement that is trying to educate people that using the word lame to mean not cool is as offensive as saying gay to mean not cool. It doesn't matter what my intention was. It doesn't matter what I meant. Once I know that my actions cause someone else hurt, it doesn't matter if it's logical, it doesn't matter if I meant to, it doesn't matter if they're being, whatever. All that matters is, do I care? Do I care if I continue to offend them or not? I might not care. I might think they're being unreasonable. I'm not going to change what I'm doing. Or I can say, whatever, I want to reduce the amount of hurt I make in the world. If all I need to do is change some wording, I can do that. No one has to make a convincing argument that the word that I'm using is being hurtful. If you say it's hurtful, it causes you pain. I don't want to cause you pain. It's that simple. And it matters. It contributes to the tone. Maybe not overtly. Dude, I said, "That's so gay" thousands of times without ever picturing an erect male penis. Although now I'm picturing it. God damn it. But even though my communication was not a part of any sort of, homophobic tirade, it still plays a part in the overall tone. So I do think it matters. Someone who is oppressed has every right to feel whatever they feel. They want to be angry. Not want. If they are angry, they are. I'm not going to tell that person, you shouldn't be angry. You shouldn't react this way. I do believe that it is less effective to attack. It is less effective to come at people from a grammar police or a PC police. But it also, the road to progress is by noticing when we can do better and doing better. You think people are too sensitive these days? Well, I mean, it's easy to say if you're not being offended. And then you get to decide, am I a person who will make decisions and change my behavior to reduce the hurt that I cause other people? And it's up to you, I intentionally try to live my life in a way where I reduce suffering and pain as much as possible in animals, in plants, in people. Do I do it 100%? Absolutely not. I buy an iPhone and I know people are suffering because of that. But I weigh it out and I say, am I willing, is my behavior adjustment worth the benefit? And I think that, being aware of when a word that I mean in one way causes someone else pain, that seems easy. I mean, I used to say, there's a lot of things I used to say. James saying, say all the words. Freedom of speech needs to be celebrated. James, I think you misunderstand what freedom of speech means. Freedom of speech means that you can say whatever you want and not be legally prosecuted for it. You cannot be arrested because of your opinions. It does not mean that you can say whatever you want without consequences. And I certainly have freedom of speech to say whatever I want. I can even say, the N-word. I could attack any religious or skin color, anything I want. That's freedom of speech. I can say all those things. I have the right to do so. I'm not arguing that we have the right to do that, and I'm not arguing that we should legally defend people's right to do that. I'm a huge believer in freedom of speech. There's a difference between what I'm legally allowed to do and what I believe to be the righteous path of action. I believe the righteous path of action is to not use racial slurs and to not use words that make people feel uncomfortable or less than or any of that stuff. Does that make sense? Sorry, getting a little riled up here. It's happy hour. I think a lot of things seem silly until they don't seem silly. You know, I mean, I'm sure, like, maybe I'm wrong. To me right now, it seems obvious that I should not say, that's so gay. But there was a time when I argued that I should be able to say that. And I think that we need to be aware that whatever our current perspective is, does not give us the vantage point to be critical of our current vantage point. Does that make sense? You just have to be aware that maybe I'm not seeing this from all angles. Okay, if somebody else says, hey, from my angle, that's rude. You're like, okay. All right, I get that. Now I get to choose. Do I want to offend you? Do I want to make you feel uncomfortable or not? I believe I have the right to eat meat. But I also believe I have the choice to reduce the amount of suffering that I create in the world. So I choose not to eat meat so that I don't participate in factory farming, so that I don't contribute to the market for unnecessary killing of animals. I don't have to, I choose to. And I feel a lot of this is in the same realm of like, I choose this maybe over-the-top compassion because I would like to be that way. I often think about the Jainists. You familiar with that religious movement? The Jainists, and I'm no scholar, but from what I've read, they will wear a mask so that they don't inhale insects or small microbes and accidentally kill them. They sweep in front of them as they walk, symbolically so they do not step on anything. They do not have fires after dark so that they don't attract insects that will be killed in the flames. It is as far to the edge of trying to be non-violent, reduce suffering as possible. And I think it's a cool like dot on the map, a dot on the spectrum to evaluate and realize, okay, I don't want to live like that, but I also don't want to live like I could give a fuck. So where is my sweet spot? And that sweet spot can change. Today, my sweet spot changed. Today, my sweet spot no longer includes the word lame as a description of someone who sucks. Gandhi said that there's nothing wrong with eating meat. The cycle of nature is what it is, and we are part of it, and it is perfectly natural for us to consume meat. But as a human being, as a conscious human being with choice, I have a gift that very few living things do, and that is that I can choose my actions. I can choose to make decisions and actions that are outside of the cycles of nature. I can choose not to kill when it would be perfectly natural to do so. I can choose not to react when it would be perfectly natural to do so. I can choose to reduce suffering even though it is my right as in my place in the animal kingdom to take that life for my energy. I don't have to. I can choose to make a decision that is perhaps more in alignment with a divine presence of love and compassion. So that's the high water mark that I'm shooting for. The Buddhists would call it the middle path, you know, the middle way. Life, or the purpose of life, is not to be totally asleep or so awake that you're freak, like you explode. I mean, you got to find the balance. You can't live freaking out about everything you're doing is wrong. I mean, maybe, and so like, if the idea of using the word lame, offending somebody is just like pisses you off, well then it's not your sweet spot right now. Fine. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you, well, as always, I'm just sharing my path and my learnings and lessons, and if they resonate, they resonate. I have never claimed to know anything better than anyone else. In any situation where someone is offended, the idea of turning it into a debate, or of do they deserve to be offended, or the intention of it, it's irrelevant. If one's actions offend somebody, or hurt somebody, or cause them discomfort, or anything like that, my only choice is, do I care? Do I care if I cause them? Like the whole like cultural appropriation thing, like people wearing headdresses. Once you know that wearing an Indian war bonnet offends people and makes them feel bad, it's not a debate. You don't get to argue of, well, but you just get to choose. Do I care that this person's offended or not? Do I feel like that's it? And you could say, well, they're too sensitive. Okay, that's fine. That's your decision. I generally think that if in my spectrum of things I can do, that's a pretty simple way to do a kind act for someone else. And maybe kindness and reducing suffering or reducing offense are not synonymous, but they could be. I feel very blessed to be in this time and space where I can be physically isolated and yet connected to you. And you can affect me. And the things you say make me think and affect who I am. And affect who I present myself as in the world. What a cool time to be alive. Thank you for joining me on this Happy Hour Hug Nation. I love you.